Good morning. Welcome to the press conferences for the 78th annual Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. My name is Tom Norton. I'm the public address announcer for tomorrow's game. But we will get things kicked off this morning with Notre Dame. Just a few things to go through. We'll introduce the panelists here. Then we'll get a statement from Coach, and then we'll open up to questions. We are doing a transcribing for this press conference, so we have 2 microphones for your questions. So be sure to speak into the microphone and also give us your name and outlet before the questions. But first, we'll introduce the panelists. We have head coach Marcus Freeman, a linebacker J.D. Bertrand, and an offensive lineman Jarrett Patterson. And Coach, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. We'll start off by saying how excited we are to be here in Jacksonville, Florida. This has been a first-class bowl game all week, and our guys have been able to do some great things in the city of Jacksonville. We've had some really good preparation, and it's been going really well. And so we're excited to play an extremely talented opponent tomorrow here at this stadium. But this has been a great experience for our guys.
Awesome, thank you. We'll open it up for questions. Do Gary up here in front.
Gary Smith, Florida Time being. Marcus, we know this, every team wants to win these bowl games as an end to what has been a good season. It's the reward. But I wonder, are you looking for anything in particular tomorrow that will give you some good signs towards the future next year and beyond?
Yeah, the most important thing is winning, and that's going to give us the most momentum as we continue to look forward. And but as I told the players yesterday in our team meeting, is that our focus is right now, and our focus is finishing this season off right now in the right way. And if you continue to focus on the future and think about the future, you're going to lose this opportunity that we have right in front of us. And so the future will be taken care of if we finish the season off the right way, and that's 100% where my focus is, and I hope this team is.
Good.
Tim Priester, Irish Illustrated. Starting with you, JB. South Carolina's good in the red zone offensively. You guys have struggled in that aspect. What do you have to do? Have you been able to pinpoint what some of the issues have been, and what do you have to do to be successful in that aspect?
Yeah, they're a very talented team, and I mean, they have the ability to go in and out of different personnel groups and also be able to go into that wildcat look. And so just being able to prepare properly, and then also looking at ourselves and being able to make sure we're fundamentally sound as we go into this game after not playing a month.
Question for you, Jarrett. Obviously, this time of year, a lot of people are opting out of games. You have a history of some injuries, but you've chosen to play. What went into that decision, and did you give any consideration to joining a couple of teammates?
The way I looked at it is just, it's only one more opportunity to play with this group, and for me personally to pass on that opportunity, despite all the injuries, the injuries come and go, but the memories, those last forever. And I really had no thought of opting out or not practicing or anything like that. I wanted to finish this thing off the right way and play my last game as a Notre Dame football player.
Coach Freeman, a year ago now, your emotions, I would imagine, were a lot different than they are today. Can you compare and contrast? Give us an idea where your head was last year at this time.
I'm sure my emotions were all over the place. I remember having a press conference next to Mike Gundy, and it was obviously surreal. You're just kind of figuring it out one day at a time. But you know what, Tim? I think you're still figuring this thing out, and I don't think the day will come where you say you got it all figured out. And that's the reality of this profession and having the opportunity to lead this great group of young men. And so I think you have a plan, and you have a sense of hey, here's how we want to proceed, but those plans obviously have to continue to enhance and change depending on the situation you're in. And so a year later, we have a practice structure. We have a plan that we looked at for this year compared to what we did last year. How can we enhance what we did last year? And we'll get a chance to go out and play an extremely talented football team and be able to reflect right after this game, be able to look back and say, okay, where can we enhance our preparation and making sure the next bowl opportunity we have, we're in a better situation.
Right here in front.
All three of you could chime in on this. when you've been preparing for South Carolina and watching their game tape, how much attention did you pay to just the last two games in particular, as opposed to the 10 before?
Go ahead.
I mean, I think one of the biggest things is you can see they're clicking towards those last two games, and things were working really well, especially against two really good opponents. And so obviously they're hot at this moment, and so you're going to know they're going to come in confident, and you're going to know that they're going to come in with that kind of swagger. But then at the same time, we know that we can look at those kind of film, those kind of clips, and those kind of games right there, but know that kind of is something that they're looking to enhance and kind of go off of, and then also know that with the guys that they're potentially having the transfer portal and stuff, that we can look back at ourselves and be able to just work on improving ourselves.
I think you always pay a little bit more attention the past couple games, really any opponent. I mean, schematically, from September until the end of November, things are a lot different. Players improve, injuries, opt-outs, transfers, things like that happen. But I think similar to what JD said, is this team's played really good football. I mean, they being two top 10 teams, and they play with that swagger, and it shows on film. So we're going to come out ready to play tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate what they've said, but when you prepare to play a team, you want to prepare to play the best, right? What you've seen them put on film being their best, and I think the last two games they've shown that they can beat any team in the country. And so that's our preparation, that's our challenge. We're saying that's the team we're going to face, and we'll see what happens tomorrow, but that's what our mental preparation has to be.
Who's got a mic?
Mark's on Monday mentioned some guys might still be TBD on status for today, but anyone that you got in a sense of that will be good to go or might miss because of injury?
Yeah, Jason Adamiola won't play. He was the one that I don't think was out there. He won't be able to go due to injury, and the rest are still, Brandon Joseph will be he practiced all week. He'll be a game time decision. We'll see how he feels. But Jason's the one that we know for sure is out.
And Brandon, is that the ankle that gave him trouble before?
Yep.
And JD, for you, Maris, and Jack, how have you guys kind of, grown this year now that it's been kind of 3 of you all together out there, the middle, the linebacker unit? How have you guys kind of, or what have you seen as the biggest improvements for you guys, or what this kind of season has meant to you?
I think one of the biggest things is as the year goes on, you continue to grow and you continue to see where we were at the beginning of the year and going forward. And so I think one of the biggest things was the communication piece, and especially going into a new defense and being able to start in the beginning of the year and come to this point. It's that communication piece, not just among the three of us, but also to the guys up front, to the guys behind us, and being able to make sure that we're all working and kind of flowing as one.
Second row.
Pete Byrne, WSBT. Jarrett, first, what would mean you to win your last game in Notre?
Just maybe that one last great memory I could have. I have so many these past 4.5 years, 5 seasons with these guys, and especially for the other guys in the locker room who are going to move on later in life and not even try to go to the NFL or play in the last football game. It's going to be special for those guys as well. So not just for me, it's for all those other guys too.
Coach, what do you think it would mean for your program? You guys win that?
I think I want for this group to be the example for our future groups, and that we've talked about it all season, is that this road to where we want to go isn't as we always foresee it on the front end. And I want this group to be the one that we can say, here's the example. Here's why you continue to trust your coaches, why you continue to work no matter what the outcome is each week. And to finish this thing off the right way with a victory here at this Gator Bowl would be a tremendous example for not only a congratulations to this senior group and to this group of players that have been so resilient, but I think it's going to be the example, no matter what, they're going to be the example of what we continue to use to propel this program forward.
And lastly, how do you assess where Tyler is right now in Butler, and how prepared is he for tomorrow?
I think he's ready to roll. You talk about a guy that hasn't played football for probably week 2 to week 12, right? And so he obviously had some time where he wasn't on the practice field, but after I think today's practice 14, after 14 practices, I think he's ready to roll. And he's been magnificent in practice. He's done a great job of leading the offense. And what, to me, it's not just throwing the ball, right? When you're the quarterback at Notre Dame, it's gaining the confidence of those guys around you. You're the leader of that group. And I think he's done a good job of continuing to earning the trust of these guys that are surrounding him in that offensive huddle.
Gary?
JD, Spencer Rattler, his particular skill set, what jumps out at you, and have you guys faced quarterback this year with the similar to what he does?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is he's an athlete, and he's able to make plays with both his feet and in the air. And so his ability just to extend plays beyond the just usual, being able to stay in the pocket and be able to throw on the run and be able to just be able to make those third and shorts or that low area red zone, kind of being able to scramble or be able to get those extra yards to be able to convert those first downs or get into the end zone. And so that obviously has been a big point of emphasis for us.
And similarities to maybe Caleb Williams?
Most definitely. I mean, there are some, especially just being an athletic quarterback that can extend plays.
Second round.
Tyler James, Inside ND Sports. Marcus, what have you seen from the receivers in sort of building that chemistry with Tyler Buckner and sort of trying to take advantage of this opportunity without Michael Mayer in the past?
Yeah, you lose that crutch, all right? At some points, when in doubt, you throw the ball to 87. Well, he's not out there. And I've seen it's been excellent to see what Coach Stuckey has done with that wide receivers room and see those guys elevate and truly take advantage of those opportunities. And so you never know on any certain passing concept or pass call if your number's going to be called. So you have to make sure you're running your routes and you're precise in what you're doing, expect to get the ball. And so it's been good to see those guys in practice. Listen, we've had a lot of competitive situations, and that's kind of been the focus for me for this bowl prep, is saying let's go good on good, because nowadays with opt-outs and with guys not playing, you don't know what you're going to see. You don't. And this game's going to be about our preparation and what we do. And so you've been able to see our wideouts compete against our DBs, ones versus ones in competitive situations, and they're doing a really good job, and I'm excited to see them play tomorrow.
Chance Tucker was someone Tariq Bracey highlighted the other day. What has he done in bowl prep to maybe give him a chance to contribute tomorrow?
Yeah, he's got more reps. With Cam Hart being down, it's giving some other guys an opportunity to get more reps. And Chance Tucker was a guy that he was getting reps with the ones and with the twos, but also getting reps during that developmental time that we talked about before we came down here. And so that's why bowl practice is so important, is you get a chance to prepare for a great opponent, but also early in the bowl practice, really get a chance to develop some of those guys that haven't got the opportunities throughout the season. And he's done a great job.
Jarrett, Coach Freeman talked about the uncertainty of going against a team that could have opt-outs and they throw different things at you. They have all this extra time to prepare for the game. Does that help the offensive line to sort of prepare for anything that could be possibly thrown at it going into this game?
Yeah, I think there's certain opt-outs, especially on their defensive line. You always maybe expect a little wrinkle or guys kind of moving positions, but at the end of the day, if still have 12 games of film to watch to understand the run escapes, pass rush moves, third down schematically. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of going out the first couple series, figuring out what their game plan is going to be, and then just making the adjustments on the sideline.
Jared, in terms of working with Coach Easton over the course of 12 games here, when did you feel like the offensive line really sort of figured it out, and how has sort of Easton been in the last maybe month and a half of the season when you guys were clicking in terms of maybe trying to figure out ways to push you further?
I remember at the North Carolina game, just talking to Coach Ford on the plains, that you kind of see the cohesiveness and togetherness of the unit, and he understands that a new group of guys out there. Blake Fisher only played a couple games. Zeke was just in that center. That it's going to take time, but I think throughout the season, as the moments more crucial, and the got-to-have situations where it's 2-minute, 4-minute short yardage, that we improve in that area. And the past month, he's been great. Focus on development of us, and he's still the same guy every day. He's still going to attack and get after you. But it's been an awesome experience having him as the offensive line coach this year.
Marcus is kind of forward-thinking, but in terms of essentially taking a quarterback in the transfer portal, what is your process for that, timeline for that, and is you're evaluating guys with Tommy that you may like, how important is sort of game experience where you actually have a lot of college tape to look at?
Yeah, that's something we do every day, is we look at the portal, we look at high school recruits, we're always looking to enhance our roster. there is no timeline. It's all about fit. It's about making sure you find the right guy at any position, quarterback being one, and we're looking at all positions. And again, it has to be the right fit. They have to not just enhance our roster athletically, but they have to fit into the Notre Dame locker room. And that's something that we'll continue to investigate. But recruiting is an everyday thing. It's not a time. It's an everyday thing that we have to do and we must do. And that's something. So I can't give you an answer for when that will happen. We're constantly looking and evaluating in all positions, and whenever we find the right guy, we'll.
Just sort of follow up, like the experience of that player, like Caleb Smith coming from Virginia Tech. You have a lot of college tape. You're not taking a flyer on somebody. How valuable is that when you're making that evaluation? You've seen, you watched him go against Clemson or somebody that play.
Extremely important. Again, if you're looking for a guy to come in, we have a young group of quarterbacks. From Tyler being a freshman, actually a sophomore. Tyler being a sophomore, then you got Steve, you got Ronnie, you got another freshman coming in. We have a young locker room, so yeah, we're looking probably for a little bit more experience.
Jarrett and JD, I wanted to ask them about you guys are missing a couple guys in Mike Barnes. They have already joined your team all year. How has that been being captain to a team that you're missing a couple guys that you co-captain that just setting up that off-field leadership, and then any of the younger guys that you feel like just setting up, and just how is that kind of process with you guys adjusting to that process?
I think like Isaiah and Mike, those two guys were great leaders, but also tone setters for this team. But I feel like just because there's a couple of guys named captain, that doesn't mean they're the only leaders in the team. We have plenty of guys on this team, and I think one of the strengths I've seen, especially throughout the summer, working with Coach Bayless and the camp, is there's plenty of other guys who are vocal as well that aren't seen as captains or quote unquote leaders of the team. So I think throughout this process, those guys and those position groups understand that they're going to have to step up and be try to be as great leaders as they possibly can, and they've done a great job for us.
And then touching on the last thing he said, it's an exciting time for a lot of young guys to, one, be able to get these opportunities in this bowl prep time, and then also be able to display their talents and be able to have an opportunity to play their best out here tomorrow.
Kind of follow on that, G, one of the young guys I used to play a little bit more maybe Jalen Steve. What do you see from him maybe since the start of the season more than that earlier part of bowl practice for development? It's maybe kind of come on with it.
The biggest thing is he is very raw athletically. Like, he has so much athletic talent and so much athletic potential that you can see such flashes and stuff that, kind of remind you of Wu Light. And so those instances where you see that is super exciting. And so he has so much to build off of, and it's just exciting to be able to see him be able to step into a little bit bigger role one step at a time.
Hey, Coach. Who recruited Chad from Columbia? I think you said after the Tennessee, South Carolina game, the Gamecocks looked explosive and you were impressed. I'm curious, what's been the most impressive thing about Shane Beamer and what he's been able to do with this team down the stretch heading into this game?
Yeah, you talk about a guy that I think this is his second year of being the head coach of South Carolina and first head coaching job, and I think he's done an excellent job of recruiting, developing, and improving. That's the challenge, is to continue to enhance your roster, but develop your roster that you have. And what you've seen is a team throughout the season get better and better and better. And at one point, you could have saw his season, the South Carolina season, going one way or the other. And they went one way, and they went vertical. They got better. And that's, to me, a reflection of the way he's led. And so he's done a great job with this football program.
Any other questions?
When you're assessing a transfer possibility of someone through the portal, how important is it to look them face to face, to be in their space, to have in their office, the time spent in person? I believe in the early stage of this portal, some offers were extended, maybe where I'm not sure, to receivers, et cetera, the linemen of Western Michigan, or maybe you hadn't been face to face yet. How important is it to assess for you as the head coach that look them in the eye and ask them, what kind of questions do you ask in the sessions to assess the character and the fit?
That's so important. You know, the recruiting game, if you want to call it, has changed in terms of, you know, at times you have to offer guys to even be able to recruit them. That's the reality of it. Some guys don't want to talk to you unless you've offered them. And so in order to take a guy into our program, I'm going to have to meet with you face to face. I'm going to have to make sure that, and Zoom, whatever, you know, that we have a connection, because there's so much that goes into a football player beyond what you just see on film. You know, there's a lot of guys you can turn on a film and say he's a good football player, you know, or you can say, yeah, he's not so good. But when you can meet somebody face to face and you really can get a chance to know them and ask them difficult questions, see how they respond, you get to really kind of say, okay, let's figure out who this person is as a man. And it's different in the transfer portal because everything happens so fast. When you're recruiting high school kids, you build relationships over time, right? And you really get to know the kid, the coach, the families. In the transfer portal, you have to be able to look kids in the face, have those conversations, but also make phone calls and try to see, hey, do you know somebody at the previous school? Do you know somebody that can give you a little bit of character makeup of this person? Because it's careful, man. You got to be careful the people you bring into your locker room. We're fortunate we have a great group of captains. We've got a great group of leadership that you really don't have an option when you come into our locker room. You're going to convert to the way these guys lead, or you're going to say, this isn't the place for me, you know, and that's really important. But you have to be cautious on the type of personalities you bring into your locker room, because I've seen it go both ways, one really good and one really bad.
And then to follow up the health aspect, the medical transfer portal, again, some of these decisions are made in a quick turnaround. Do you need to have your own doctors look at someone physically broken rod the way it would happen in free agency in the NFL, or can you accept what you would see from reputable doctors out there, especially about complicated medical issues?
Yeah, I'll always lean on our doctors to give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. You know, maybe they didn't medically evaluate them, but they can make phone calls. They can look at the medical history and be able to say, okay, hey, we feel good about this, or no, this isn't going to be something that's good for our program. I always lean on our doctors.
But you don't need the doctors to physically have hands on or do their own.
I need the doctor's blessing. So does that mean they physically put their hands on them? Not all the time, but I need them to look at me and say, we feel good about this. And that's part of it.
Okay. Marcus, the captains talked about their leadership, but evaluating the season, what did you learn about leadership from the two individuals sitting next to you?
That your culture, your leadership's really revealed when things aren't going so well. And I learned more about these two guys and our captains in the difficult times than I did during the times that things were going really well. And these guys continue to take control of this team, you know, and sometimes as the head coach, you feel like it's everything you say to the team that's going to get the culture, get this program where it needs to go. These guys do it. They take care of the messaging that needs to be said. I'm fortunate that I have a great group of leaders that when things weren't going so well, they really took care of the locker room.
I'm sorry, Glenn Clark with Irish Illustrated. And for the captains, what is the one thing that you learned from Marcus Freeman this year?
Not in front of me, like.
I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was just being able to have that steady voice that no matter how the season was going throughout, like we could always look to someone that was always pushing us just to get better throughout every single day, every single week.
I would say authenticity. Everything he says has a purpose. He's not just saying stuff just to say it. Seem like a leader, head coach. He believes what he says and he practices what he preaches every single day.
One last question. I'm sorry, there was one already in the back. Sorry.
One quick question for you, Coach. South Carolina doesn't Rich one related to Columbia. South Carolina, you have a lot of players that are stepping up out of the transfer portal and things of that nature. I mean, with guys leaving. Talk about facing guys you haven't don't have a lot of tape on, and how hungry these guys are who's coming up in this second team. It's difficult. What does that make it difficult for you and your defense guys?
Yeah, I think that's why I said earlier we do a lot of good on good in practice, because when you have almost a month to prepare for an opponent, sometimes that's too much time. You know, the beauty of playing a team in 7 days is that you can only watch so much film. Right now we have 12 games, and really you can talk about 2 years worth of film, and these guys, they're junkies. All they do is watch film, and sometimes you can watch too much and assume that you know exactly what the other team's going to do. You don't know. Just like we're preparing to make sure that we self-evaluate, right? And we're not just doing the same things over and over, and we're sure South Carolina's doing the same thing. So we spend a lot of time going good on good, meaning that our offense has to go against our defense, which isn't South Carolina's defense, and our defense has to go against our offense, which isn't South Carolina's offense. And so that forces you to really be able to execute off of, you know, your fundamentals, off of your basic schemes, your basic concepts, and not just always try to attack a different opponent's tendencies. And that's a long answer to your question of with opt-outs, you don't know what you're going to see. We don't know what we'll see tomorrow. We'll have an idea. We'll have the base concepts that they do on offense and defense and special teams, but we obviously have to prepare for some different wrinkles and things that we haven't seen.
Thank you. Thank you to Coach and to JD and Jarrett for coming here.